Dedicated.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Wolf Dance Radio Show with your host, Wolf King, featuring Chazwell Almighty and Xbox Fiend. We're going to look into the news, and we're going to analyze that shit with empirical evidence and reason and logic. Bow, wow, wow. Unfortunately, though, because of Xbox Fiend, current attention focused on the Deeper Than Dogma podcast, he's been currently excused from this, as well as Chazwell Almighty for reasons beyond my control. Also, the show is temporarily canceled tonight due to unforeseen events. However, we're going to continue it, featuring Eric Silverman, one of my earlier subscribers and good friends. What's up, man?
Not a lot. I'm really glad to be here. It's kind of nice to have a one-on-one. To be honest with you, it'll be a little bit easier to focus and actually really be able to think about what I think about the different subjects that we'll talk about.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay, we're gonna get into it. Now, be forewarned, because a lot of the stuff that we're gonna get into is I wouldn't say it's totally bizarre or insane, but usually it kind of is. So just be prepared for like stuff that's outside your boundary, but you could just give your view with experience and stuff, just to the best of your abilities.
Sure.
Now, but we have fun. Okay, let's see what's first. Okay, we got Mike Huckabee getting back in the political race for the presidency. Hold on. Jesus.
So I am looking at it again, and it's not just because I have some nutty ambition to say, wouldn't I like to be president? But I really think, James, our country is in real trouble, and a lot of it is because we've just divorced ourselves from common sense. We've divorced ourselves from an understanding that we cannot survive as a republic if we do not become, once again, a God-centered nation that understands that our laws do not come from man, they come from God. It's the natural law of God. Our founders really understood that and believed it. I'm not saying that a person should run and say, let's have a theocracy, because I don't think we should. That's not that we're not having a theocracy right now. It's a secular theocracy. It's a humanistic, secular, atheistic, and antagonistic toward Christian faith. And that's what we need to understand. Our basic fundamental rights are being robbed from us, taken from us, piece by piece. And you would like for whoever runs and whoever is our president to keep God in the center of their focus on. You agree with that? Absolutely, I do. And whether it's me or someone else, and I do ask people to pray. But to me, James, this is not just a political or financial decision. It is a spiritual decision. The only thing worse than not being elected president is to be elected president without God's blessing. I can't think of a worse place for the world to be than in the Oval Office without God's hand upon you. I'd rather not be near the place. So if that's a purpose, then so be it, and that's my prayer.
Okay, so that was Mike Huckabee giving his response with regard to to his next presidential run, and also he wants to make it clear that he's quote fighting against the secular theocracy, wherever the hell that is, and he's going to make sure that it's going to be it's going to be more God-centered. He's trying to merge God and country, which is a usual talking point on the religious right. But it's interesting that he wants to fight against the so-called secular theocracy and make it about quote about all about God, like the God of Christianity apparently, and that just goes against the First Amendment. It's just we have separation of church and state. That means Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion. I mean, to do that would just go against the Constitution, which is produced for the sake of equality. The reason why we have separation of church and state state secularism is for the sake of equality for not just the religious but also the non-religious, producing a better equal ground for human rights and civil liberties. But when you have theocrats who who by just by way of just asserting it, they have the right to worm their own way in and just have their own view for themselves rather than just keeping it on an equal basis for the whole society. But what's your thoughts, Eric?
My thoughts are that when he says stuff like this puts him in the public eye. Whether or not what he says is reasonable or constructive is almost irrelevant, because this gets his face in the news. It gets his sound bites some attention, and in its own way, it makes him relevant to his own constituency, which is people that are willing to hear his words and not challenge his premises. Theocracy applied to secularism is something that it just doesn't make sense. It's like, what is theocratic about not favoring or applying anything religious to our governance, but to our governing, but allowing people to live their lives based on whatever faith they identify with or lack thereof, and not favoring one faith-based belief system over another. To me, it's almost like saying that secularism is somehow dogmatic, even though there's no doctrine or actual, authority that dictates secularism as a way of being followed or required.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and see, and here's the thing: an argument can be made that secularism is in fact a greater ally for religion, in the fact that no one's telling you how to worship. I mean, you can believe whatever you want through the boundaries of reason, so long as you don't harm or force it upon anyone else's life. And the government doesn't do that for you. And also, for us, we don't have anything overly religious, like overly crazy, influenced by religion, sort of like the Crusades or the Spanish Inquisition or some ridiculous holy war or some type of law imposed on people through religion. It's based on, instead of being based on private prejudice, it's based on publicly verifiable evidence and reason. So that's a good thing. That's like the rational enlightenment principles that help make this country great. But you got donuts like this that friggin' say that because it doesn't work for my worldview, it's just inherently wrong, but it's not. And it's just
I don't see how a secular society takes anything away from his ability to practice his faith as he chooses, and for people of his faith within their own circles to express themselves as they choose. The point, there's a point that I would like to make, and that is that in social media, when I am interacting with people and they talk about, they use the label of religion and attach it to atheism or secularism. And it's done so as a way, I think, to not allow the actual separation or designation of value to be considered independent of religion. What I mean is this: if you attach the label of religious to secular, then it becomes an essentially no better than the concept of religion. But the concept of religion has so much bickering between itself, between the different faiths, and within each faith itself.
Well, I mean that's the way that's the way religion works. I mean it's an evidently divergent model. That's why, I mean
Right.
you know it's capable of evolving just like any other species you see on this planet, and you know it's no real guarantee for truth. You know that's my position as like a hard secularist in that, you know, I mean I'm not like an anti-theist. I'm not against like people thinking about like the concept of a deity. I mean if that's their thing,
Right.
whatever. I just disagree on the epistemology of faith, authority, tradition, revelation. I just don't think those are, you know, excellent guides to truth. I think that we found a better basis through science, reason, and empiricism. But you know that's I think that there's a better basis in that through the history and progress of these methods. But you know that's just the way I think. But we're gonna move on to something else, like his idea of like Mike Huckabee's idea about like gay rights and shit.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so let's see here.
The way that we've allowed words like tolerance, bigotry, what has happened to us, we allow ourselves to be called homophobic or bigoted. We're not. We just people who believe that there is a standard that was not ours, it was God's, it was given to us, and that for us to change it, we have to get His permission. But we don't have the natural power and authority to say, oh, that's not really working out in our culture, it doesn't make me popular, because I'm not an editor of the Bible. I'm only one who can read it, interpret it, and hopefully try to live it. Yeah. Wow. When you think of homeschool, this ought to be one of your books you were saying. Oh, yeah, this is history. There's no solid history. What have they done, by the way, to our history in our schools? It's pretty frightening in that there are so many ways in which the education system is not educating but indoctrinating. That's why we see so many parents who are going to homeschool, or who are putting their children out of the government-operated schools, maybe into a private school or something, because they don't want their moral values undermined. They want them undergirded. And no longer is that the case. When we're told that America is an evil, imperialistic nation that's been brutal and hostile to people, but the truth is we have fed, we protected, and we cared for the most of the world. When there was trouble, who did the world call upon? They called upon Americans. When there was a tsunami, when there's been a typhoon, when there has been a horrible war, who shows up with medicine, with supplies, with food, with clothing? It's the Americans who show up. I'm tired of being told that we're a bad country. We're not a perfect country, but by golly, we're a great country, a great nation, a generous nation, and we need to act like it. That's right. You know, and I know Sasha would agree with this as well, that let me tell you right now, Grandma and Grandpa, if you saw the history books that were in my high school, you would be shocked. Let alone the history books that are in college. I mean, I took this book called The Patriots History. If you study American history in our history books today, you would think that America is founded on three different things: bigotry, sexism, and slavery. And that's not America. And that's why you've been encouraging this book passage, because this is America. We are founded on Christian principles. We are founded on ideas, on values, on capitalism. I mean, that's the America that we know, and this book encourages us. It's actually a one point in time, in the sense you say that if Christians, and even conservatives, if we don't challenge.
Oh, okay. You know what? I'm just tired of that idealistic bullshit. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it was a little hard for me to hear it, Wolf King. Can you sort of give me a little bit of a synopsis, a little bit of what he was saying?
Yeah. Because that, you know, for the large part, I mean, it was like a large bit was propaganda. Okay. So Mike Huckabee's talking about his book, God's Guns and Grits and Gravy or something, right? Okay, and you know that he was commenting also about, like, you know, his view on gay rights and how he says it's against the natural order of things, and like as a result, Christians are called bigoted, homophobic, hateful because they are, towards these people, and also, note how he diverges from that. He goes from that to a different tangent about America being great and like we need to merge God and country, and apparently like education's a bad thing for children because it teaches them facts, and truth.
But that isn't what he was proposing, though, is it? What he was really saying was that what is being taught what is being taught requires people to learn about the negative, and he wants that to sort of be swept under the rug, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, but those are actual facts. That's the cold hard truth about America and how it was founded. If you think it was all like, founding fathers, Tea Party bullshit, you're fooling yourself. It did start from fucking bigotry, misogyny, and slavery. How do you think this friggin' country got great in the first place? Look, land stealing from friggin' Mexicans and Native Americans. So, slavery of black people, friggin', making Asian folks build railroads for fucking pennies. That stuff happens. And kids need to know that so they can learn about like the basis of this country, so they can make it better for the future. That's the important thing. Education and acceptance are such scary little concepts on the right, when in fact it's those very things that help us grow as people. What do you think?
I think that it's easy to point a finger at other people, and that it takes real courage to look in the mirror and say and hold oneself accountable. And I do not see in this notion of, I guess, political Christianity or political religiosity, people the more religious people holding themselves accountable. It's not how to progress. It is not how to become better if you aren't willing to take responsibility for yourself in a healthy way, of course. It's just very easy. It's very convenient to say, well, we're being persecuted and all of this and we're victims and we're not getting our way. And because we're not getting our way, everything is going to hell in a handbasket. And you know what? Truth, in my eyes, is supported by explanations and an understanding and, considerations, debate, and exchanging of ideas. And I don't see a foundation when I do discuss this with a lot of Christians. It's just, I don't know if it's dishonesty, if it's, I don't know what it is, but I just don't see a real backbone. And
sorry to interrupt. I was just saying, hey, then. Yeah, you raised.
You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Yeah. And I think secularists, people that are secular, I think, or atheists, I think we should be challenging ourselves, and I think we should accept the challenges from other people that want to know what the foundation of our approach to participating in a secular society is. Richard Feynman's, I love this quote. He says, I'd rather have unanswered questions than unquestioned answers. Being challenged is a chance to engage and understand with each other. I don't really see that from the religious side. I see just a dismissal. And I'm biased. I get that.
No. You raised a lot of good points. Hey, St. Tommy, welcome to Wolfston Radio Show. How you doing, man?
Feeling pretty good. Thank you for your hospitality. I was listening and saw the link and thought, well, I'll come inside and visit if acceptable. Thank you, though. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, honestly, it's one thing to say that they like you stand for values and stuff, but I mean,
Oh,
it's sort of like I just want to respond to what Eric said real quick, in that you're actually kind of right. Actually, there's actually another bit in there where they talk about the rights of Christians, and they actually see themselves as second class citizens, which is obviously bullshit, because I mean see, that's a code. I mean, that's obviously a code statement, and it's not like it's a conspiracy thing. But psychologically speaking, when someone says, well, when they're saying that they're second class citizens, it really means that they're not getting their worldview ass kissed, and that that it's not completely served, like oh yeah, let's limit it to let's limit the word marriage to our group, or let's debate what's taught in school in terms of history and science. But bullshit's a bargain like that. But same time, what do you think? I'm curious.
Well, I'll tell you, I listened to about 2 minutes of your interesting conversing and heard a couple of interesting proposals and statements. And so I'm not really, I don't feel up to speed really on what the core topic is that you guys are discussing. But again, it was interesting.
Well, honestly, it's kind of it was kind of a dead topic, but it was Mike Huckabee was talking about the issue of gay rights, and God and country. We need to take the country back. We need to not tell kids the truth about about the history of our country. But so what do you think of all that?
Well, I guess what's appropriate to educate, to have this curriculum in our schools. It seems like realism seems appropriate, to aggrandize history, or it smacks of political education. I don't know. So anyway, it's a as a dad and one who homeschools, I kind of faced the decision sometimes on what to share about, like, the history of the United States, and it can be a bit challenging on how frank to be, on how idealistic to be. It's not particularly easy making the decision sometimes to.
how old are your kids that you're homeschooling?
Well, the oldest is 19 and
Okay.
youngest 15.
Okay.
My 19-year-old, of course, has graduated and moved on to community college. Woohoo! And is now
Good for him.
educating me. But 15 to 19, and I have 3.
I get the sense that one of the focuses of the conversation with Wolf King and I is really the politicization, religious politicization, where it's the one person's faith is given license to be considered representative of the whole country. And when he and I are talking about this, and we're listening to Mike Huckabee, I think it's it's very difficult to distinguish between generalizing and individuals. And because I do know that you are a person of faith, I do want to distinguish that there's individuals that are Christian that are not the problem, and there's some people that are secular that are part of the problem. It's not about, we're talking about generalization in general. So I want to really make it apparent. This is not about a problem with the religion. This is not about being wrong for having a belief. I don't even think it's wrong for Mike Huckabee to say what he says. I just don't think it's very constructive overall, and I think it offers a lot of excuses to hide some of the details of what has happened, and that if we do allow those details to be hidden, then I think we're sort of setting the stage to assume that these types of details will be hidden in the future as well.
Well, I mean, it's it's in relation to an agenda. I mean, they want to talk about the gay agenda, the liberal agenda, like the president's agenda, but they have an agenda too. They just use this this language just to divert from the truth. I mean, they want their worldview to reign supreme. I mean, they really do want to like the specific fundamentalists. They do want to influence the country for their own purposes and goals and limitations. I mean, that's just the way it works. I mean, but moving on, let's see.
Well, it sounds like you're describing a groupthink phenomena.
Yeah.
Such as, and it can have some negative, identifiable, very negative features to certain groupthink perspectives, of any particular camp or polarity, political party, or a groupthink is not an individual phenomena, and it's not necessarily even coordinated conspiracy. It's just a group mentality, and one can.
Well, I'm not saying. Well, I'm not saying that's a group Well, in a sense it is, but I'm not saying that it's like literally a conspiracy. I'm just saying, based on like what you hear, like in the news, and like just based on the activity and just the facts and the reality of it, I mean, there's when people say, for example, that there's Christian persecution out there, it's bullshit. You want to see Christian persecution? Go to fucking Saudi Arabia or the Middle East. Okay, where they kill people for the dumbest fucking reasons imaginable. Okay, that doesn't exist in America or any open secular society. I mean, it just doesn't exist. When they say that they're persecuted, it means that they're not having their worldviews ass kissed, in the sense that anything they want, they automatically get just because they whine about it. And
or they're insulted. Yeah, they get insulted. Oh my gosh,
Yeah. That and see, there's a reason why that's done, because there are other people that aren't Christian, that have different backgrounds, and despite that, their humanity is noticed before their beliefs or before anything else, and so we tend to use our best the best evidence and knowledge we actually have about human nature, and actually apply that to make life better for everyone, regardless of what they believe or who they have sex with or whatever. But that being said, we're moving on. Okay. So okay, Hobby Lobby. Okay, Holly Lobby caught cheating on her husband. Okay, family values, but here's a burning question. Who paid for Hobby Lobby's birth control when she cheated on her active duty military husband with a Tea Party video editor? We should totally ask Rush Limbaugh. I'm just going to put this link in...
Yeah, thank you. I'm not familiar with this.
Yeah, if you guys are aware of like Hobby Lobby, then but not necessarily aware of this person. Yeah, it's this. Hold on, let me just tell a story.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay. According to Johnson, multiple sources within the Tea Party confirmed that Fisher had a prolonged affair with Joel Ferrero, now former video editor for the Tea Party News Network. Johnson said Freya resigned after word of the affair began to leak out. The affair took place at a Restoring the Dream event, a Faith and Freedom conference, and on election night 2014, Johnson said Fisher claimed that the rumors were a product of vengeful people who were out to get her, but then she saw the light and admitted the whole thing. I lost my faith in this life that not only I've chosen for myself, but a life that I promote. Happy military wife with kids and church, and happy, happy, happy. False, my life crumbled, my marriage crumbled, I lost my faith in God. I didn't know where I was. This is a bunch of crap. I didn't know where I was going to. I didn't know where I was going to go next or what I was going to do. For a very short period in the middle of that, I actually believed my marriage was over and found someone else. It goes on. Okay. All right. Okay. So basically, this woman, Holly of Hobby Lobby. Okay. She's basically this conservative Tea Party woman, Christian. Basically was against the. She was basically no, actually she was against Hobby Lobby stores, private companies giving birth control to their employees, and she basically went on Twitter or in various social networking sites putting out pictures of her holding guns, behind an American flag, telling people to keep it in their pants and everything. She was a shining star for the Tea Party, with a military husband and everything. She talked about all this stuff, and morality and everything, and like the Bible should be the basis of our society. But then she goes out and cheats on her military husband with this video editor guy. So I mean, once again, sort of like a Ted Haggard moment in that. We have a person that, wants to talk a whole high and mighty about morality and stuff like that, but then does this stuff, behind people's backs, and when it comes out to light, you want to talk about this. Oh, like I was tempted. I lost faith in everything. It really is nonsense. I mean, how can you actually like look at yourself in the mirror and say that you are a real person, like you're for real about what you believe, like when you can't even practice what you preach. But what do you guys think? I'm curious.
I think that when she says that, I think when she's promoting these ideals, she's doing it to, I think, to create an image of herself and promote something about herself, as opposed to actually believing in the ideals. And I think it's very significant when somebody does that and they're incapable of demonstrating that they can live by their own ideals. I think it shows that they don't really have a foundation for it.
Yeah.
We're all human.
Seems like some people promote ethics instead of love and truth. All about ethics. Don't do that. You shouldn't do this, and it sometimes comes off as kind of hypocritical. And I've noticed also that sometimes people will rail against undisciplinedness or licentiousness, and that those same people seem to be very incited and end up being exposed for being human and being hot-blooded,
Well, can I ask you a question? In my work, I provide services to people that have been part of a downsizing in a company, and I approach them and knowing, and I need to keep in mind that I'm going to be bringing my biases of right and wrong even though I'm providing them services. And when people are claiming what is best for everybody else, I think that they're doing it to position themselves in a role of superiority and not actually in the interest of offering people something that is in their interests. It's very.
Hey. Not to cut you off, Eric.
No,
but,
it's okay.
hey,
Go ahead.
what's
I
up,
made my
man?
point. I'm done.
Yang, you there, man?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay. What's up? Welcome to Wolf's Den Radio Show. Okay, hey, you heard the story about this Hobby Lobby woman cheating on her military husband?
No, I did not.
Yeah, apparently she's sort of like Tea Party-ish. She's against the idea of private companies, putting out birth control for employees. But she talks about like guns, God, and country, and everything. Keeping it in your pants. But then she cheated on her military husband. What do you think of that?
Well, I think, to be honest with you, I didn't. Now, is that the basis for the Hobby Lobby? The individual who had the problem with the court case that went up to the Supreme Court? Is that the same person?
Yeah, she was basically. I mean, she was an active participant in that political issue, and she was actually very vocal about it. She
Yeah.
she became a star about. I mean, and she preached she preached about this stuff. About God and country, and like the family and stuff like that. Not even getting involved with birth control, and then she just goes ahead and cheats on her husband like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Hypocritical. Hypocritical.
yeah.
What I heard about that case, and one of the reasons why I found it to be a little bit empty, was that the individuals, Hobby Lobby, who was putting the case or put the case together, and were one of the movements, in the appellate case, they didn't even really pay. The whole thing was financed by another outfit. I can't remember who it was now. I wish I could, but and when they put the opinion out, they said that this was what I don't remember the language, a firmly held religious belief or something like that. And so when you say what you say about, she did this, and then she cheated on her husband, how firmly held is that belief? And it's a lot of, seems to me like it's a lot of window dressing that they put
But I
together.
think the idea, I almost don't disagree with the Hobby Lobby situation, the finding by the Supreme Court. I almost don't. I think that there's a separation between all of this. Her behavior is problematic as she represents herself in the public eye, but I don't know if that takes away from the merit of the suit itself.
Well, are you aware what the suit was about?
Yeah,
I-
it's their healthcare not providing any benefits relating to birth control. They didn't want that. I thought.
Yeah, but there was an exemption that was available, and it really boiled down to, did they want to fill out the form?
The minutiae I'm not familiar with, so
Yeah.
it's very possible.
It was an absolutely ridiculous kind of thing. Should an existing exemption, is it egregious to go through and fill out an existing exemption? There's a similar case going through right now in Colorado, and it's a group of nuns, and there's some kind of charitable organization or what have you. They work at a hospital or something, and they're doing the exact same thing. The problem with the Hobby Lobby decision, even though it was intended to be to be a very narrow holding, it bred a lot more litigation. Everybody who had that kind of ideology and thought they might have that kind of access to the crease then went after it. And the situation, I'm speculating here, but I believe the situation in Colorado, essentially what they're arguing is the government came to them and said, okay, you don't have to do the contraception yourself, okay, or you don't have to request it, I guess, from your insurance provider, but then a third-party agent will take care of that for you. And basically it has to do with the standardization of policies, so that the government has some kind of checkbox to say, okay, they're not doing the contraception, somebody else is, or they're not doing it. All right. The nuns are saying, their argument is that it is it's an egregious. Well, I wouldn't say it's egregious, but the government is demanding they do something that they shouldn't have to do, and that is basically fill out paperwork saying that they don't want the contraception. That's fucking ridiculous to me.
I agree.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. So, it's all a bunch of crap, you know. That's why I was saying this is all like that.
And honestly, that I mean, I guess I would refer to it as a scandal in that I guess I shouldn't be too surprised about it. We shouldn't be too surprised, but also at the same time, it kind of annoys me because these people try to they try to get that shit passed, like through political means, and they can't even be consistent to it. I mean, you want to you want to preach this particular viewpoint, and you can't even live up to it. And you preach to others, and you expect them to follow it when you can't. So I mean, what example are you?
Right, and even endeavoring to go after this, I mean, to me, I would maybe describe it as a Pyrrhic victory or something, because the actual legal victory was so infinitesimal, and look how much money was wasted on it. Look at how much ambiguity it caused, and how much additional litigation arose from something like this. And you know what my sneaking suspicion is with these nuns in Colorado? Some mouthpiece got a hold of this and probably went to a right ideological money bag and said, hey, we can make some hay with this,
Well, I heard that the situation in Colorado is that it's really insignificant because there's really none of it has to do with anything. Get it? None of it.
Shame on you.
Yeah, somebody should. Right about now, somebody should and erase. Yeah.
I would say this.
That was terrible.
The requirement to fill out a form for some authority indicating anything, check the box if this, that's a sensitive matter. And even though, albeit it is a frivolous matter, some insurance frivolous insurance procedure, being required to indicate a mindset or predisposition publicly is a sensitive matter. So I would say when I heard whomever you are, sir, proposed that it was nothing, I would tend to agree that its substance was impoverished, but there was a little kernel of substance to such things. I'm very sensitive to people who hold authority going beyond what they're authorized to do. Very sensitive to that, even in little ways. And that reminded me just a little bit of how that so often happens. How people who hold authority somehow become God and get to do whatever they damn well please. And
well, I mean, well, granted, I mean, of course, I mean, these people have regulations, of course, like that. But I mean, making it more available with regard to the people. I mean, I don't see necessarily an issue with that. But when people start getting this holier than thou attitude, it usually becomes problematic. But
I don't know if I don't know if the actual issue even gets examined.
I mean,
it becomes something using a wedge in essence to not even discuss what the ideals of consideration are.
Well, I mean, I would hope that I would hope that the issue actually gets resolved. But who knows? It's really just a matter of like bureaucratic red tape at that point. But that being said, we're moving on. Okay, so like apparently climate change denialists have won. How? Because apparently people apparently they don't care as much. But let's just hear.
The issue isn't climate change. The climate is always changing. And it's man, the greatest hoax. And the greatest hoax very clearly was the idea that man was causing climate change. That's a very arrogant thing to think that man has the ability to
Okay, so that was Representative in going there for who the fuck ever. I didn't. His name is almost incomprehensible. But whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so he was a representative saying that while climate does indeed change, saying that it's caused by man is very arrogant, and also they indeed, the climate change denialists have one because apparently, according to them, enough people don't give a fuck about it to actually, do anything about it. So yeah, fuck the environment. What has it done? But sustain our existence, and also let's let Exxon do whatever it wants because it just has to make money. And honestly, I think that's ridiculous. I mean, if you know that the climate changes, I mean, how is it too far to say that humans cause it? I mean, we chop down trees. We use fossil fuels on a consistent basis. I mean, we're making our oceans acidic as we speak. We're fucking with our food supply. I mean, it's only getting worse. I mean, there's actually a Senate ruling, 98-1, saying that climate change is real and it's not hoax. I'll put the link right in the side chat right now. I mean, what is the difference? We're recognizing that the climate is changing, but we don't want to do anything about it. I mean, honestly, there should be more attention to this. There should be more education, more information out there. But what do you guys think? I'm curious.
I don't think that it's a win for climate change denialists. I think it's a part of the pendulum swinging. It isn't going to, unfortunately, with politics, things don't go. People hold on to the what they can to maintain their what their constituents want to hear. But this is it's a process, and I hope it's not too little, too late. But I don't think it's a win for climate change denialists because it is in fact a recognition that the climate is changing. It's that they're not willing to accept the cause of the change. This is it's a tidal change from what they've been saying up to this point, though. Anybody else?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah. Well, I barely know anything about this subject. I'm just gonna put out there that hopefully we'll think about energy efficiency, and as the population's obviously gonna rise. I mean, technology. Hopefully, I mean that will have to save it. Energy efficiency is what I kind of want from this.
Yang, Tommy, your thoughts?
Yeah, Tommy, were you talking earlier because you were muted?
Yeah, you're muted, Tommy.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Complex issue. It's a complex issue. No easy answers. Positive answers. Positive movement. Efficiency.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Reckless regulation or heavy-handed regulation by those who, enjoy the power of it. That's not, that's one thing I hate about some environmental actions. Hey, pro-environment, great, but to squander resources, vital resources, on bad policy in the name of preserving the environment, that's just because something's pro-environment doesn't mean it's efficient policy. And anyway, complex issue, yes, and ominous, but not easy, not an easy one.
Well, I mean, it's at this point that they know, we all know that the climate is changing. It's just that people don't want to acknowledge that it's related to humans, and at that result, it's really just the amount of how much can the environment take for the team, until we actually tend to do something about it. I mean, there's been like moderate action against it, which just barely, you know, actually makes a positive influence. But there needs to be more, you know, just to balance it, or at least a focus towards green energy. Because I mean, if you talk about the computer being like the internet being being the latest boom, you know, this green energy potential for that. I mean, that's only the future. You know, sky's the limit. Yang, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm going to cut to the chase here. There is consensus. There is substantial enough consensus that the people who are not part of the consensus are, you know, ignorable. I mean, they're statistically ignorable. You've got the temperature going up. Now, it's not going up dramatically, but it's going up demonstrably in association with parts per billion of CO2 in the atmosphere. So, yeah, pretty clearly, human beings are doing it. Temperature is going up. But I think what we're hearing from the politicians is an example of how special interests can shape foreign and domestic policy in a quid pro quo situation where, like, let's just be honest here, the Koch brothers, you know, they don't want that kind of thing. They have made it their objective to prevent this, whatever you want to do, additional costs as a result of what Tommy was talking about, regulations being put in place to change it. Now, you know, it's going up. I think there's a consensus that it's going up. There's a consensus that it's caused by human beings. But my question is it something that we need to act upon if our actions are going to be ineffective? And what I mean by that is, say the United States goes and they put all these controls on the coal-burning power plants, which, you know, and they put new standards, mile per gallon standards on cars. And I guess those would be the two big ones. What's China going to do? What's Brazil going to do? What's India going to do? You know, if they don't put similar controls on what they're doing, then is it going to make a difference? And so, you know, it's kind of a strange situation. Why should we control ourselves other than looking out for the future, of course, and being stewards of the world? And apparently that's not sufficient for us to initiate any kind of change.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't know if I'm understanding. Let me just ask you: Are you saying that? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, so tell me if I'm wrong, please. Are you saying that if nobody else is going to abide by the regulations that we're willing to place on ourselves, then there's no reason for anybody to do anything? It's and I don't think that's what you meant, but kind of sounded like that.
Well, first of all, we're not putting regulations, and one of the reasons we're not putting regulations on is because of like I said, I think the ability of special interests to shape domestic policy. But yeah, that's exactly the question I posed. I think that it's, you know what, oh man, it's messed up, and you might be right. There's a couple of things you said that I want to ask you about. You know, when you say if it's not going to do anything anyways, that sort of is fortune telling to me. We don't know. We don't. I didn't say it wouldn't do anything anyway. I question its effectiveness.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I think that there's a problem when people in the public aren't even talking about solutions. They're denying that there's a problem, and that might be the impact of the special interests. And there's, you know, this just seems to go back to this microcosm of what social media is and how it represents how we face responsibility and accountability for ourselves. And it's just, we're not even looking at the problems. We're looking at posturing and defeating an opponent as opposed to doing what's best for everybody. We're just trying to defeat people, and it just doesn't even get below the skin, you know. It's like we get no depth to even understand to even have a discussion about what is or isn't going on, we're
Well,
at a
well, well,
point.
well, well, we have science bullies. You know, science
No,
bullies
I
want
get
to
that.
bully
No,
us
I
with science.
understand that. I'm
And,
with
you
you
know,
on
and,
that. But
people are dumb. People are
I'm
dumb.
saying,
You
Wolfgang,
gotta throw the money out there against all the facts and evidence.
there are
So
millions of people.
so the science bullies will go away. You know,
Right,
it's
I get that. I get
even
that. I
even
get
though the
that.
facts speak for themselves.
Right, but the point is that when people en masse deny the facts that are demonstrated scientifically and empirically, that in and of itself is almost as big a problem as the issue at this point, because we're not even broaching making this better. We're still even deciding if it even exists.
It's never a process that's about solving things initially. It's about filibustering, so you know your agenda has been fulfilled. You know, and you know it's never intended to be completely solved. I mean, if it was, you know, it would. I mean, we have the facts and evidence presented before us, but you know we just don't care enough to actually do anything about it. But you know that's the way society works like that.
I think it's ego also.
Mhm.
Did you say that this guy was a congressman or?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it could very well be instead of Eric, instead of like reading into it dramatically. Well, I don't mean dramatically. I'm sorry about that I said that, but
Socially.
instead of reading into it like it has something to do with social media and the people, it could be something as simple as this particular congressman lives in a district where his only potential threat to his reelection is from his right. So when he gets in there, he wants to come in, he wants to do some grandstanding, and he's going to put out some ideology that would prevent an attack of that sort in a primary. So it could be as simple as that, really.
I think we're saying the same thing, to be honest.
Okay.
For the most part, I get your point completely, and I don't disagree with it.
I would agree. I mean, we can all agree they have an agenda to play, and you know, despite the facts, they play the role because they want to get paid and they want their political base.
Right.
But you know, that being said, you know, we're moving on. Let's see, we got one more. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just pull it up.
It's good to be involved in this, you guys. Everybody's got really good insights.
Okay.
Well, you too, buddy.
Okay. Paris plans to sue Fox News for insulting the city. All right. Paris is planning to sue Fox News after the image of the city was insulted and prejudiced. Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo announced Tuesday during an interview with CNN's Christine Amanpour, when we're insulted and we've had an image, then I think we'll have to sue. I think we'll have to go to court. Like, shh, I'm talking. In order to have these words removed, Hidalgo said, the image of Paris has been prejudiced and the honor of Paris has been prejudiced. And I think in the great discussion of truth, everyone is to play its role, and we're going to have to be realistic and put things as they are. When asked by Amanpour to clarify which network she plans to take to court and sue, Hidalgo responded, Fox News, that's the name. Though the exact details of the lawsuit are unclear, over the weekend, Fox News apologized to the people of France and England for erroneously suggesting that certain European cities have no-go zones where non-Muslims are not welcome. We empathize with the citizens of France as they go through a healing process and return to everyday life. However, we find the mayor's comments regarding a lawsuit misplaced. Michael Clemente, Fox News Executive Vice President of News, said in a statement to the Huffington Post. All right, now, I'm going to put a link in the side chat so you could all
I think that Fox News is not in the wrong. I think they're in the wrong about the details of what they're claiming, but I think that they have every right to say that. And I think that in France, having just been victims of an attack over freedom of speech, that it's almost hypocritical. I hate to say that.
Yeah. I would agree. I mean, sure. We all know that Fox News does, like it says dumb shit and puts out bullshit,
Yeah.
for its base. But they don't deserve to be sued by the city just because they say stupid shit. I mean, especially due to the fact they apologize. I mean, sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a sensitive subject, and they are healing. It's never easy when your city has went through a terrorist attack. It's not a fun thing. There's giving people hope. There's literally rebuilding, and there's other stuff you got to go through. Legislation you got to put in place, but just because they say stupid shit doesn't mean you take them to court. What are the other thoughts of the people in the room?
Sounds absurd to me. I mean, how can you insult a city? And come on. It's the freedom to express opinion and in an editorial, even if it's petty or dramatic or insulting. Please.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck France, I say.
I would say, I would say it's much ado about nothing as well. I don't know what cause of action they're going to sue under. If it's defamation and it's anything like American law, the truth is an absolute bar to recovery under defamation. So and I know that there are places in Paris where I don't know how familiar you guys are, but in France you get a doctor will come to your house anytime. They make house calls. You just call up the service and the doctor will come to your house. And there are places where doctors won't go. There are places where the mail carriers, or where there's analogous to a mail carrier, they won't go. So there's truth. There's some amount of truth to the matter. And then the other thing is, have they been damaged? Yes. Okay. So the Fox News said something inartful and tone deaf for the time, certainly, but did it really damage Paris? And I agree with Tommy's point too. I mean, this would be the time where they say, hey, free speech is paramount. We've been attacked by these pigs, and we stand for free speech. And even though we were kind of put out ourselves by Fox News, we're going to stand for free speech, and it's going to be okay. We're just gonna shrug it off.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Listen, if being insulted was grounds for suing for defamation, Detroit would be the richest city in the world. So that's where I'm originally from, by the way. Also a French city, mind you.
Steve, what do you think, man?
I have no idea. I don't know what Fox News even said.
They were talking about no-go zone. They were saying that there's certain parts of France that are all Muslim, and in those which is not true. Also in England, in Birmingham, England.
Wait, they call that a no-go zone?
Yeah, because if you're not Muslim, you were threatened. You were unsafe. So they claimed that these zones existed. They didn't say it, and they didn't present it in a way that was it was sensationalized, and it's not true in the first place. It's 20% Muslim in Birmingham, which is a high percentage, in that part of the world, but still it was an exaggeration.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, an exaggeration.
Yeah. Is it worthy of being considered slander? I don't think so. Or, worthy of a lawsuit? I don't think so, personally. People can say what they want to say. There's nothing illegal about lying.
Yeah, to me it feels like an exaggeration with overreaction combined. So yeah.
But it's
Eric,
interesting that
just for the record, there
Yeah,
is
yeah.
something illegal about lying. It's called perjury.
well, you're lying under oath. You're right. You're right.
Hey, yeah, you know, but still, free speech does matter. But okay, we're moving on. Last story. All right. Okay, Glenn Beck comments on Obama's YouTube interviews.
For us, it's about the seeding of the United States of America in the Western way of life. I agree. I mean, can you imagine Winston Churchill, what would happen in the 1930s if Winston Churchill decided just to go to all of the pubs and, all of the...
Whoa, hold on a second.
Oh, does he annoy the crap out of me?
You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, he was basically complaining about apparently Obama's image, in it, and like, just apparently it was inappropriate for a president to go on YouTube and like, and have these various YouTube celebrities comment about his views on particular issues, and apparently he just, it was just terrible. And I actually watched those interviews, like various parts of it, and they asked some very hard-hitting questions, and overall, he did a pretty good job. But you can't, you can't really you can't really please these right-wing pundits, because they just don't agree with his views. They just don't like the fact that he is a moderate progressive. What do you guys think?
Well, I think if Glenn Beck thinks that sort of behavior is beneath the dignity of the president, then he shouldn't do it when he's president.
Yeah. Yeah.
Touche. I think Glenn Beck is about as important, or about as I don't know, I guess about as reliable as Alex Jones.
Both of them are in the fear business.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But when it comes to buying gold, listen to Glenn Beck.
Oh yeah. Apparently, I mean, this was a guy, mind you, that the reason he even got his show kicked off Fox News was because he insulted the president by calling him a racist. You're like, what the fuck was that about?
I thought it was the Jews he insulted that got him kicked off.
Well, the president is a Muslim Jew, so it's.
No. He's against the no. He hates white people. He's against the white culture. Never mind. Never mind that
he's against it. He's half against it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah. Of course. Never mind that he's half white, or his mother is white, I
thought she was a Hun. One of those. Never mind. Just kidding.
Oh yeah.
It just doesn't matter what he does. Wolf King and I were talking about this just before the show started. When you live in a country with 300 million people and you make a decision, there's going to be at least 100 million people that aren't going to like it for whatever reason. You can't be a president that everybody likes unless you're faced with a disaster and you are seen as protecting everybody.
Plus, he's going to be unemployed, I think, here before long. Give him a break already, will you?
I know.
They'll ride this shit till the end. Honestly, yeah, but that's the end of the show. All right, we're going off air. Later, guys.